Well, everybody, welcome back to the
Hello,
Byzantian
everyone.
brewscast. Woo! How are we all doing?
I am in need of rest tonight because
Oh,
I have been busy down Bolton entertaining the little ones because they're doing a Christmas light turning on.
ooh,
Start real early, I guess. There was apart from it would have been nicer if I'd done like more time in it because, uh, well, there was raining pretty heavily tonight.
yeah. It's raining pretty badly here too. It's like, oh,
I was sitting in the back of literally in the back of the Rota Spa where they just sell hot tubs, but they have like a stall at the light turning on.
aw,
Uh, honestly, it was nice. It's better than last year. It was just in like the back of like the cafe box, just getting changed. So that was nice. Didn't half see some stuff though. So they had um they had like Perry the Bull make a visit for it, and I did not know how this was how it was done. So
right.
the reason that they need so much space to get Perry ready for appearances,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not sure now. I don't know what if it the like the part of the body bit is sort of like a it looks like a life jacket kind of thing to pad out the wearer a little bit.
Right.
Um, Honestly, we're just looking at the putting this thing on, it looked like a super complicated thing to wear.
Oh,
Um, so once they got like the gloves on, which are separate from the arms
mm-hmm.
and worn under the jacket thing, the way they were getting it on, like, you had to see it to believe it. Um, so either because it's really like tight and fitted to the person that they modelled it off, or something, they had to. So keep in mind at this point they've got all the lower bits on, right? So they've got the big stompy cow feet on at this point,
Mm-hmm.
trying to run as best they can with their arms out, aiming for the armholes, hoping that they can get through like the jacket holes with enough force that it will actually go through.
Wow.
It's it's the most. It's like, and clearly they've done this enough times to have practiced it to know this is how it's done.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that it didn't look real. It was like no way.
Oof.
So funny. Although it went well. But not unsurprisingly, it's kids. Kids know their Pokemon. They like Eevee, so Eevee went down well.
Yeah.
And some adults our age also know Eevee, so that costume I bought for 253 quid's
Hey.
worth is going down really well everywhere. It's gone down every time really well because everyone recognises Eevee.
Hmm.
So so funny though. It's like I've never seen a costume put on that way in my life. It's like this is ridiculous.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if the costume's really well designed or if that's just a weird like maybe it worked for the person they modelled it off,
Yeah.
but not for anybody else. It's surreal. It's
Yeah.
like they needed a run up to get in it as well.
Like,
It
huh?
was like right. So imagine like a life jacket,
Mm-hmm.
but the zips on the back.
Oh.
So you sort of shove your arms through the front, but the zips on the back so it stays on.
Uh-huh.
And they've already got the gloves on at that point. So then they put the top over it so it pads out a bit. Then the tank top thing put the Perry's got it's got like zips on the side, I guess
Right.
for on.
Yeah.
So they got to get that on, then through the hole, then zip that up. Keep in mind, there's also Velcro for the back of the head, so it doesn't come off. So
Mm-hmm.
this is a complicated get-up.
It's like building a Lego figure. So,
And he was, I was like, this is kind of. There was me in like my onesie with my fake belly and like,
mhm.
uh, that was kind of it. It's like I got it easy today. I got it real easy.
Mhm. You don't even have to talk because Evie doesn't talk. It's great.
Most mascots don't talk unless they've got like a voice
Well,
changer or
yeah,
something,
yeah.
which I'd love to work with one of those. That'd be hilarious. The dream job, honestly, just saying it, Darth Vader.
Yeah, that would be cool.
can be as
Like,
evil as you like,
I would
within
love to
reason.
honestly if I was like 10 years younger and had lived in the States, I would totally have like done acting to be like one of the characters, like the non-mascot characters like Disneyland,
Seriously, so
particularly like not necessarily Gaston but like a stormtrooper or Darth Vader. That would be like so much fun.
you rebel scum.
Yeah.
In fact, I have been considering doing that because I am roughly the right height for a
I was
stormtrooper,
actually
so that'd be
looking
quite funny.
because it was on Twitter and Blue Sky. Because obviously they did the Hades hideaway thing for obviously Halloween, and it's funny because the actor who did that costume mascot was really good, because everyone of course kept trying to push his buttons in a professional playful way, of course, and he
Yeah,
has this toggle to make himself turn like red like Hades does when he gets pissed off, which is
that's fun.
amazing. So everyone's trying to like
I think that
piss off the character of Hades the entire time. It's so funny.
I think like the craziest one I've seen, like costume wise, is still. Oh, I can get a video of it. It's amazing.
Mm.
It's in Japan, unsurprisingly.
Yep.
Outside of one of the Monster Hunter cafes, and they must have got like some sort of like sort of quad suit get up going on.
Mhm.
Because it's like a full on. Oh, for God's sake, Instagram. Let me link this thing. Like, this isn't just like a big costume. This is like someone is like had to study how this thing moves, make it work. It is impressive, and it's and in the games it does kind of move a bit like that as well. That makes it even funnier.
Oh,
So it
the
looks like it.
fast. Yeah, I think you showed me this when we did the homebrew of that
Yeah,
thing. It was just brilliant.
yeah. That to me is just like that, or it must be ancient now. But there's a Silent Hill 3 one that I think I've also shown you,
Mhm.
where it needed two people to do it because there's a monster that looks like two people joined at the back.
Yeah.
So you got one guy with like presumably stilts surrounded by like the like material to disguise it. Who's walking about on the stilts, and there's some woman legitimately just connected somehow to his back, and she's hanging upside down for like this whole ordeal.
Oof.
That to me is just like dedication to the craft. Like I love that.
Hmm.
That was yeah. It's been a fun week. It's been a weird week. I've got one more character visit tomorrow, and I'm done. At least for a while. So
Coolio.
more normalcy. Maybe a new job because I had an interview come Friday. So
Hey, nice.
I might I might have got that. I'll find out hopefully by Wednesday.
Mhm.
How's your week been?
Good. I've been mostly doing my usual volunteering stuff. Had another had a month. Well, I say monthly. It doesn't necessarily happen every month, but I had my monthly meeting. Uh, an incident happened today. I can't really talk about it because safeguarding stuff. But it wasn't like serious, but it was it was like very brief. And yeah, I've been doing not a huge amount this week, but I have next week. I'm gonna really like pick things up because my sleep schedule is starting to normalize. So hopefully I can actually
Okay.
get stuff done. I've been like sleeping in too much lately because of my meds and stuff, but and I think it's
All
like
right.
the changing of the season just like threw my body clock off for a bit. But I think it's
Well,
now
yeah,
my
you
body.
can
I
do
think it's
that.
getting used to it now. I think my body's getting used to it, so I'm actually starting to wake up naturally like 8 9 a.m. again, rather than like 12 o'clock in the afternoon.
That's fair.
Yeah. So let's move on to
Get stuck in.
our occasional section, miniature of the month. Do you, I know you've picked up some stuff recently.
I have actually. Yes. I won't call these new. They're definitely not new,
Hmm.
but they are miniatures that are really near and dear to my heart. Just you know the old uh, Vikings skeleton warriors.
Yeah.
I went down to Element Games with some of the birthday money, and I thought, right, I want to actually start a Tomb King army.
Nice.
just because
Yeah.
I think they look neat. I've read their stats; they're pretty abysmal, but
It's
they're
not the.
cool skeleton gut. They're cool skeleton boys.
Mm. Well, the point of the
Um,
skeletons is that you use your other things to just constantly bring them back, right?
you get your lich priests to literally just keep them going.
Yeah.
I just think they're really cool skeletons, and you've got a box of like 36.
Mm. It's like Skaven slaves
I'm
level
going to
up
turn
just
that.
bulk. A bulk army. Many.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm kind of tempted to just turn it into like I'm kind of tempted to turn it into like like 3 units of 12.
Hmm.
I mean, and if the rules allow it, or just have it as if spears aren't their own thing, then I'll have it as like a unit of like 24 and 12 archers or something. Because I'm just going for bulk here, so this is just gonna be like the
Yeah.
core of an army if I expand it. If I don't, I've got 36 skeletons, which that's anywhere I kind of want really.
Hmm.
Let's have a
And
look. I'll drop them. I'll drop them in the.
you said they're really
They're
easy to
very
paint
neat.
too, which is like, yeah, just some. What was it? Just
Oh my god, yeah.
because there's a.
The first bit
Yeah.
is just Zandri Dust
Yeah.
and Agrax Earthshade.
Mm.
That's most of your work done. That's the bone for me, at least. We're right there. Just
Yeah. But, yeah. Uh.
there they are.
Hmm.
There's my.
Was this in the thing? I remember seeing the miniatures
It's
briefly because you brought them to thingy.
yes, they look a lot. They look more interesting painted. But this, yeah, just skeletons with personality. I think they're neat.
Skinny
Um,
boys.
yeah. When it's a full-fledged army, I'd love to do like a small game of
Hmm.
Warhammer, an older edition of Warhammer.
Yeah.
Just pit a load of
Funny.
just chaff against
Yeah.
chaff.
Funny thing is that if I had these, I get that, obviously you could paint them whatever color you like. I get the point of the color scheme here with the shields, but I feel like why
Yeah.
didn't they do the Tomb Kings stuff in the default faction for Tomb Kings in a slightly darker blue? Because if they're going for like the Egyptian lapis, that cyan doesn't seem dark enough.
Or maybe it's like there's a
Maybe I'm
million
just
different tomb kings. They all kind of hate each
Yeah,
other.
maybe I'm just nitpicking.
I read that.
I'm just really like calling it.
It's,
It's not historically accurate to what fantasy Egypt. Yes.
it's, it's valid, but I just think it's I don't know. It's just like I like the I can't I don't actually see it much with a lot of the newer factions, but the old like Warhammer stuff, the factions had like wars within that were just
Hmm.
faction on faction violence. But there's two kings don't really like each other because they all think they're like
I'm the
the king
pharaoh.
shit.
No, I'm the pharaoh. No, I'm the
Yeah,
pharaoh. Listen, I have a
they're
dark
all the
magician, and
pharaoh.
I'm the pharaoh. Shut the fuck.
Yeah, they're all the pharaoh. Although that has given me a good idea for if I get a lich priest, I'll just try and paint it like the dark magician.
Just make your Tomb King just like get like the green and stuff out and just give him like Yugi hair for like no reason.
Yeah,
No, I'm not
I just thought that the
Yugi.
lich
I'm
priest.
what's this fuck? I'm a Tem. Oh, okay, sure, a Tem. I'm the Pharaoh. Are you sure you're the Pharaoh? Because that other guy over there in that other part of the desert also said he's the Pharaoh.
You know what I could do if I work on my green stuffing. All the lich priests could be based on Yu-Gi-Oh characters.
Brilliant.
The dark magician. I want to do a Seto Kaiba,
I
like
guess
from
it's not too
the
difficult to do because, like, if you go by their versions in Forbidden Memories, it also just kind
yeah,
of
that's what
look
I'm going with.
thematic.
I kind of want to do like the ridiculous like dragon robe at
Mm.
Kaiba's just the roses. That's just hilarious.
Let's have a random like Bretonian knight in there whose like armor's model left a Kaiba for like no reason. I'm in the wrong time period.
He's the rose lich priest. I don't know. Um,
Oh,
yeah, I have been working on these one at a time.
Mm,
Um, the rest is all kind of brass and bronze, and I'm doing them in purple, but I just like purple. Or at least some of them in purple. They're basically going to do this like the shield colours as uniform
makes
because
sense.
it's the only real. The rest, it's just they're just a couple of bony lads having a thrash.
Just a few bony lads having a bit, having a bit of a thrash. Uh,
Yep. Have you got anything?
yeah. So talking of bony lads and
Just
liches, I picked up
wait.
a lich the other day. Sort of.
Amazing. Hey,
I'll
sort
put the
of.
picture of it in Pics and Vids. It's technically a miniature.
Oh,
Wait.
oh,
So
is that from the D&D movie that was all yonks ago?
no, actually, no. I think no. He's a different person. I think he's not that. He's not the one from
Okay.
the movie, but he is from the Lego D&D minifigure pack thing,
Oh,
the
that's
blind boxes.
fun.
So I picked one up because the previous one I got a Githyanki like assassin, which I converted into Githyanki warrior to
Yeah.
be a bit more like what's the name from Baldur's Gate 3. And I was like, I was I was still trying
Raphael?
to
Yeah.
gradually get the
Sorry.
Aarakocra because Aarakocra. But that was the one I wound up getting. I was like, you know what? I don't know who this guy is, but he's cool, and he is Saz Tam, the Lich Lord.
He does have a skull. I like the skull.
Yeah, so Saz Tam. I think he was briefly in the D&D movie, but he's like the person the other person was working for, I think.
That makes sense.
Remember the Eight
Very evil
Zulkers?
wizardy, but that kind of works.
Yeah. He's part of the Forgotten Realms, obviously. When the Eight
Yep.
Zulkers, after the War of Zulkers, resigning of the origin of the Thing, Cyrex Legion, Legion of Bone. Yeah, so he's like
I
quite a
see.
famous Forgotten Realms boy. His first appearance was in third edition. He is in 5e. I'm not sure
Okay.
what part of 5e he's in, but he is in 5e. I just don't know what book he's in.
You know,
Uh,
it's like a Red Wizard of Thay. That's
Yeah,
probably
yeah, he
his
is. Embrace the traditional habits of the
version,
Red
maybe.
Wizard. So
Yeah.
he is a Lich Lord that's a Red Wizard specifically, which is pretty cool. So I technically have a Lich that I
Yeah.
can use if ever I get to that point of like DMing. So just yeah. So guys, you fight. Okay, we get to finally fight the Lich. Where's his miniature? And I just put this Lego guy in the battlefield. It's like actually,
There's
technically,
one miniature I
so, oh, did you not have an actual? Well,
there's one
technically, this is an officially licensed Wizards of the Coast miniature. Technically, it
the
counts.
first game I did with D&D I played, we had characters that were just Lego minis because it was easy to assemble them.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be out that far from the
Another thing I
um
found out because I was looking up stuff on the Lego store today. So you know the bigger D&D set, the massive one that's like 400 odd quid.
yeah.
Um, if you have a Lego Insiders account, you can actually spend, I think it's like 2,000 or something points, which you get, by buying Lego and
Right.
doing reviews and stuff. There is an actual adventure for that set. You,
Oh, that's cool.
yeah,
Okay.
so you can actually turn that into a D&D adventure or just, play it as a D&D adventure. So I might save up my
That's
points
nice.
and get that adventure to see what it's like. I assume because it's some weird, Lego side project thing that isn't because it's not many people would necessarily know about it. I'm going to assume it doesn't have any unique stat blocks or anything because that would be kind of a bitch for a limited time product that's digital only to have exclusive stat stuff in it. But
Yeah.
I think it's
I
still
can see it.
worth picking up regardless because it's cool.
It's been a miniature I've always wanted to use. I just never found the context for. Uh,
Hmm.
God, years ago, Anfield randomly gave me this miniature for a killer whale.
Fucking whale.
It's got the picture for reference. I want to find an excuse to throw a killer whale at someone. Well, but I want this to be. I just need a less sense. It's the kind of funny. Maybe make a weird like wild magic table. You roll the right
Hmm.
number, just a flying killer whale just appears. It's just fight it, I guess.
Yeah, I'm gonna look at like weird official. Ah, it's not coming up with official stuff. I was gonna try and look up like what the funny, whether there's like any funny, weird official D&D miniatures. Um.
Oh, I do own one that's a little off the beaten track. Like before Wizards of the Coast had it, but a company called Ral Parther.
Uh-huh.
Um, they did they did the miniatures for Dark Sun. I have one of them as like curiosity. Let's have a look. I think they're on like a 15 millimeter scale as well, so they weren't. It's like
Hmm.
70s era. Um, we're talking like late 70s, early 80s for Ral Parther.
Yeah.
Um, I've got. Let's have a look. Try and find the one. I've got one like the Dark Sun fighters. Oh, there he is. It's the one on the far left. Oh, that's really cool. I like that guy. Yeah, basically they did some of the cover art and just gave. Come on, load up.
Ah,
There
yeah.
we are.
What is that weapon?
Yeah, which one?
The one on the
On the
left.
left or right? The one
Yeah,
behind me.
what is that?
Stone?
Yeah, it just looks a bit weird. It looks like a
I'm
bionicle
guessing.
weapon.
Yes. Yeah, Dark Sun's got some weird weapons. Um,
You know what you need?
Dark
All
Sun
you
is
would need to
weird.
do is to green stuff like an identical, like one of those ends on the other end, and it's literally a Rashi staff.
Oh god, it is.
It's
Oh no.
literally a Rashi staff.
Uh,
I'm gonna save this image for later. I'm gonna Photoshop that.
Get like Blender if you got that.
Just make a model. Yeah, 3D print it as this guy with this random Rashi staff. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
So, what I got next? We could
Critical
talk weird miniatures
Fumble,
all
I think,
day.
would be good.
Go fumble. Okay.
Going from a
Um.
high note to a low note, sort of.
Okay. Yeah. I do have one from today,
Oh.
which is a past tense one, but it's still funny that it happened.
Mhm.
So I think at one point I have mentioned that while I was working a separate event,
Mhm.
while Perry was also at, I might have tripped the performer and done them some. I've probably done them some injury, which I didn't know at the
Oh.
time. I apologized immediately after. So
Mhm.
I wasn't like, you know, a dick about it. They were they were mentioning the incident like without knowing it was me that that did it.
Oh.
That was really so. I was like, okay, that was me. Sorry. Thankfully, all seems forgiven.
Mhm.
But they were like low key talking. They're giving me grief for good reason. That's like okay,
Yeah.
should probably. I've got to split Sigma apart here. So sorry, didn't mean to.
Mhm.
Um, but that was funny how that came back. That was 5 6 months ago. But
Oh.
dear, dear. As I had this horrible realization when they were describing it. Oh yeah, I remember
Oh,
that.
that sounds like me.
Oh, I remember that. Oh, wait, it was there. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I had that. Oh yeah, that character does sound familiar. I recognize that costume from somewhere. They kept on going like, oh no, that was one of my events I was on. Oops. Thankfully, it does seem like they mostly laugh about it, but
Yeah. It's like,
it got a little weird for a hot second
it's
there.
like, uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh.
I was thinking, I was debating, do I just not say anything,
Hmm.
or do I just say there that was stupid, that was me?
Yeah. Honesty is probably the best policy,
No,
generally.
I think I did the right thing, and not really took it that seriously, but I just wanted to clear
Yeah.
that air. It's just So that was awkward. So what have you got this week?
So I've got two things. First of all, critical fumble of my chair. I think I need to replace the
Oh,
bolt in one of the chair arms because the thread of the bolt's like completely gone, so the chair arm is like slightly hanging sometimes. Just a little bit
oh
annoying.
no.
So that's one minor thing. The other one, of course, guess what? Who's back in the news? It's Wizards of the fucking Coast. Wizards of the Coast's back.
It's fun. I wonder if it's going to come up because I saw a video recently from a guy I sometimes watch.
Hmm.
It's definitely a reaction guy, but um, he was he was reacting to a video about Magic the Gathering, and this guy was kind of getting worried that the franchise is having an identity crisis.
Yeah.
I just think it's quite timely that after the last episode we did, you had a bit on that. Yes,
Yeah.
people are noticing. Carry on there.
Well, talking of identity crises, obviously the secret layer drop for the Marvel stuff came and went. And by went, I mean went, because again, printer demand, most of the stuff sold out immediately. People couldn't, yeah, people were stuck in a queue for an hour only to find they couldn't check out because some of the things they wanted were already sold out, because some people bought 6 copies of everything. For context, that's over.
Oh,
If you buy 6 copies of everything, that's over like a grand's worth of cards. So these people were definitely buying them to sell. One guy mentioned that he
that's go.
saw some of the cards on sale on Card Market on eBay, like literally days after, for like £30 over their retail price, like immediately. So again, Wizard of the Coast,
Wonderful.
this limited print run stuff doesn't work. Please go back to print to order so that people can actually have access to things. Because in the case of the Marvel stuff, they're mechanically unique cards. Meaning that
Yes.
in tournament, if any of them were any good in tournament play, this would be a bad thing. Because people literally cannot get a hold of, if one card starts to be
Yeah.
meta, of meta cards. That's a bad thing. That is giving people who can afford more things a significant advantage. And who could have,
Yeah, the people have already bought all the cards, and then everyone's
yeah.
catching up.
I mean, I get that there's like a financial advantage thing
Well,
in
make
Magic
it.
anyway, but like this to that level and having a time advantage as well of, being able to go on the website like immediately to be first in the queue. So, aka probably not having a job or being in a different time zone. It's just like, it's,
Or just being in a country where they release pretty slowly.
yeah,
Like certain countries get preference.
yeah. It's it's annoying, and scalpers don't help, but like I almost don't want to blame the scalpers here because of how
Yeah,
much.
if the release schedule's rubbish, then
Yeah,
yeah,
because it's like an hour. Basically, they were sold out within an hour. Basically, they were sold out. I think like there's still Black Panthers left, but that's because the Black Panther drop was just kind of garbage in terms of playability, so no one really cared.
or I can imagine people on Twitter. They're already there saying someone's racist.
Probably.
You made the deck bad.
I mean,
You made the.
yeah, people were already
I'm gonna
complaining
make a
when,
prediction of that. Actually.
yeah, people were already complaining like other characters, etc. with racism and stuff. I mean, the whole thing with Aragorn in the Aragorn in
Oh
the Lord of the
yeah,
Rings stuff.
that was a race swap though. The thing with Black
Yeah.
Panther gonna be like, oh, you made is it? No, I would make a bet that someone is going to say something to the effect of racist because you made the Black Panther deck really uncompetitive.
Mm, I think in terms of the player base, like I don't think anyone's saying that because I think they tried. It's not like they made it bad on purpose, and it's clear that
Yes, yeah, we're
it's
saying
just
that.
in any
Uh,
product you're gonna get some cards that are amazing and some cards that are just mid. That's just kind of the way things go. And it's not for lack
that's,
of
that's very
trying to
true.
make them good. It's just, yeah, it's fine. I don't think it was a terrible set, but it just wasn't amazing. I mean, look at the card actually. NTG Black Panther. Because obviously, I think a lot of people are going for the Storm, Wolverine, and this one compared to like Storm, Wolverine, Iron Man. Black Panther is not first on a lot of people's lists for favorite Marvel character.
Oh, I can see it. It's a bit of a niche interest character like Blue Beetle or
Yeah,
Booster Gold, that kind of bracket.
but yeah, because he does like landfall and blossom blossom kind of stuff. It's like and like a little bit of life gain. Like his abilities are fine, but they're not massively inspiring. They're just fine. I think the fact they made him a 2-cost legend kind of screwed him over because obviously if he was higher cost, you could put better abilities on him. I really don't get why they went with that design.
Yeah,
Anyway, I think they had an idea and then just kind of fumbled it. But that's beside, I mean, a secondary fumble inside a fumble. But yeah,
I think a lot of these like card company based problems come from like one of two things. It's either um, really strange wording on cards, so
hmm
people start abusing stuff,
yeah,
or it's when a game is literally just too complicated, like regarding effects. Like
mm,
Yu-Gi-Oh's got that so bad now. Um, like they made it so complex, it's kind of actually difficult to play, even if the rules are simple or were initially. So you end up with a position where someone might want to get into the game, and it doesn't matter anymore really because of standardization. If someone's been playing 5 minutes or like 50 years,
yeah,
um, because you'll still get some because the new decks are built with the structure already in.
yeah,
There's kind of like one or two ways to play that deck already.
yeah.
So if somebody coming back to the game might bring an old deck that was good a few generations ago,
And because of
they
power
they
creep, it's just
might get
kind of like
completely stomped.
meh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or if they're playing against somebody who's been playing for decades worth, they might have loads of different metas and they're still current. So it's like this. It's kind of hard to enjoy a game like that when you're going to just get past the front door, come back through the front door, and immediately get jumped on and,
yeah.
and
I
stomped
I
effectively.
thought that Wizards was going to fix it with Magic Foundations, which to an extent they have. Magic Foundations in the past couple of sets have been really, really beginner friendly, at least for standard and for draft and stuff like that, because they brought back Jumpstart, which is like a sealed environment game. So you open a pack of Jumpstart, and it's all cards of one color that work together. So you buy 2 packs of Jumpstart, and you make a deck out of them, basically. And then you play against somebody who also has 2 packs of Jumpstart, and generally that game will be quite balanced. And so it's good for beginners, and it's good for people who actually want the cards, because the cards in the packs for Jumpstart are actually also pretty good, because there's some unique stuff for them and things like that. Anyway, there's also a secondary critical fumble you reminded me of because you were talking about curb stomping. They decided to put so Magic Foundations has a problem of its own in that it has an infinite combo within its own set, and it's a black infinite combo. The color that's
Oh no.
still the absolute best in standard currently. So I think it's Sanguine Bond or Exquisite Blood, and a card that's like it the other way around. So basically, what happens is, okay, I gain a life, so therefore this card triggers and my opponent loses a life. And the other card says, whenever your opponent loses life, you gain that much life.
Okay.
So
Oh no.
yeah, so you're just like,
Okay.
oh, I gain a life, you lose a life. Oh, you lose a life, I gain a life. Oh, I gain a life, you lose a life infinitely. So, granted,
Card games is
yeah,
hard.
granted, this combo already has existed in standard with a few other things. However, it's being possible in like a draft, which is how most new people get into Magic, is terrible. Because in theory, you could absolutely go up against someone who's running that combo. Because one of the cards I think is a rare or possibly mythic, and the other is a common. So it is entirely possible for somebody to draft the combo.
Brilliant. Okay, so you play that and you eventually win.
Yeah. Well, no, you play that, you instantly win, near enough. Unless your opponent can remove one of the two pieces.
Oh, that's fun. That sounds fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
That's friendly for
it's
new players.
yeah.
New players
It's
love that.
like I could understand in some like Commander and stuff like that, where infinite combos are kind of part of the format. And that's fine. In something that's supposed to be really low power, like Draft, you should not be seeing infinite combos at all in a single set draft. So stupid. Anyway,
It's
that's
fun.
that's my critical fumbles.
Yes. Then we need to find more punching targets.
Yeah.
Wizards is too good at this. What's up next?
So, skirmish report for the week. So, I guess we could talk about the first D&D session with our friendly DM.
Oh, I mean, yes. Our prologue.
Groom Hollow? Grim Hollow. Grim Hollow. Me when I go to a
Groove Hollow's
wedding.
that's a different kind of horror setting. That.
Yeah.
Um, I, I, well, it went okay.
It went fine.
It felt like a movie, or like if
Yeah.
you've played a video game where it's the prologue where like in a game where you'd have a character that you make,
Hmm.
but then you start the game and it's an unrelated scene.
Yeah. Oh, man.
That's kind of how it felt.
Hmm.
But not in a bad way. It's just
Yeah.
I kind of prefer to jump in with my stuff.
I think
Uh,
the main
I did, yeah.
issue I think I had with the prologue is so obviously we had our the pre-con characters. We had the captain of the guard, who is also the royal bodyguard, effectively. The prince's friend. My character, who was the bodyguard to some elven noble. Who else was there? The paladin and the chief priest, or one of the high-ranking inquisitors. They're fighting this not quite dragon and somewhat of a wizard.
It was a dragon. It was a pretty cool dragon thing.
Yeah, yeah,
I
like
go on to know more
conceptually
about it.
pretty cool. Uh, I think I was playing a rogue that didn't really feel like a rogue.
Had some interesting spell choices.
Yeah,
I would have expected some healing spells on that list.
yeah, I
But
yeah,
I did at least enjoy deliberately picking the character that is unlike the character I was intending to play.
hmm,
Because I
same.
already played Dwarf or Artificer,
Hmm.
so I went off what I was going with.
So I want to
I
talk about
yeah.
the rogue. So I can't remember her name, but based on the ability she had, she was a rogue that played like a ranger, a bad ranger. It was just really weird. It's like, oh yeah, I've got this like evil eye ability, which means like basically hunters mark something, and I can always tell where it is. And
Right.
okay, it's great. My weapon has 25 feet of range, so me knowing
Yes.
where it is at all times, not all that helpful.
Yeah. It. Yeah. Um. That was something I found with my weapons as well. Like they're quite powerful. But they're like I don't know. Gunpowder weapons have a terrible range in Grim Hollow.
Yeah. Well, apparently, like, the character's supposed to have a rifle which has significantly better range, as well as the pistols and I think a dagger. But it was like, I think DM was just strained for time and didn't get the printouts done properly, which
That's
is
fair.
fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like a huh. And it's also even from like Grim Hollow side of things, just a little weird. It's like, is there this subclass for rogue which is just not quite ranger? I don't get it.
Yes, it was it's a strange one. Um. I am kind of glad that picked a character that was using, I guess, now their legacy classes because it's proven to be somewhat effective.
Yeah.
Um, An artillerist. Artillerist is a weird class, but artillerist is one of the more usable ones.
Mm.
So yeah, I, I thought it was a decent enough start. I'm looking forward to putting our characters into it though, and
Yes. I still need to
taking that down a fun route.
yeah, I still need to pick my cleric spells and do a little bit more tweaking,
Oh yeah.
but I am looking forward to playing a downcast. It's like, yes, I get to be an I get to be a, I get to be an overly like zealous asshole.
Oh, that's rather the setting we're gunning for. Yeah. I do think it's a good choice for a setting because a lot of the time religion is sort of like an afterthought in D&D if it's not
Yeah.
Salune or Elor.
Hmm.
So
Or if you're literally on
it is I do
Theros
follow that. Yeah.
and the
Yeah,
gods
but
are
then I
very,
like
very
that because the
present.
gods everywhere.
Oh,
There's
I just saw
weird
Perforos
customs and
walking down
rules
the
for helping
street.
stuff.
Hi, Perforos. Ah!
Yeah. In fact, I don't mind that. I think it's actually kind of funny.
Hmm.
But it makes it impossible to have anybody questioning their faith if
Yeah.
God is down the street.
So yeah, that was interesting. I'm looking forward to that. I also have a secondary skirmish report. I've been tinkering with my Caesar deck for Magic. Sorry, going back to Magic briefly, and I think I've got it. It's kind of terrible at the moment. I'm adding more soldieriness to it because it's kind of weak at the moment. But I'm soldiering up Ave True to Kaiser, and I think I've got it working now. I just need to actually replace the physical cards now because I tested it online, so I think I've got that sorted.
Okay.
That's the other thing. Just a minor footnote in the skirmish reporting here.
Okay. Uh,
What's
but I think I've been trying it. I actually managed to get a win on Master Duel without
Hey, nice.
any. Only got the one, but I did it,
Hmm.
and with the kind of a deck that was. I'm kind of working on it because I got enough random unlocks to find a deck that I don't know if it's particularly great. It
Hmm.
plays fairly old school, but it's a deck I think is cool because it's basically just dinosaurs. And I was like,
Mm.
I will spend all my crystals on that. Give me dinosaur cards. Um, so it's pretty much relying on like 4-star, like 1700 plus beaters
Hmm.
with effects that also summon similar strength monsters.
Nice.
So for early game, so if you're on like turn one, it's actually pretty good,
Mm.
assuming your opponent doesn't pull a 10-minute turn. So
Yeah.
you can get an early advantage, and it's fairly good at getting. It's a fusion that's all right. There's a synchro that's okay. But it's got a decent special summon in it as well. So it's not like crazy strength, but it sort of averages out its attack that way round.
Mm.
And if you need it, you can just put in Lost World and Jurassic Park in there as well for
Yeah.
the terrain advantage. So it is surprisingly playable. Like I was surprised I managed to steal a win from that. To be honest,
Hmm.
it felt like a very old school deck. I thought, well, I got it because I like it, and I think it'd be funny. I didn't expect to actually beat someone.
Hmm.
Actually, quite nice surprise.
Nice. We should do a casual duel at some point. I need to add you a master duel. Actually, I completely forgot.
Yeah. You can. Let's see how it goes. Oh, Frog the Jam
Rock the champ. Yeah.
versus. Oh, I want to play a Frog the Jam deck. It looks so silly.
Hmm. Okay. So, let's get into our homebrew of the week. I really should start adding jingles to this podcast. Maybe some background music.
Um,
Let me open
we,
my
uh,
Word documents.
I'm sure there's some reasonably good free software for that.
Probably.
Yes. have a look. Let's try and fish it out. What have you got? I need to go and have do some
So
searching my
I've
files.
got 3 this week.
Oh, that's nice.
And because I'm carrying on with my Magic the Gathering related homebrew, sorry, there's a lot of Magic stuff. It's kind of what I'm doing a lot lately. So
You're working through a lot of backlots. It's fine.
yeah. So this week, all 3 of these are from one of the newer planes, Duskmorn. You know, the haunted house slasher horror movie
Oh yeah.
aesthetic one. So first of all, we've got Piranha Fly, which is a half piranha, half like it's kind of like the fly, but what if it was on a piranha instead and had a bit of mosquito in it? So they are little beasts that fly
I can
around
see
very
it.
quite quickly
I,
and bite
I've
you.
seen Mosquito.
Yeah, so they fly around, they bite you, they drain your blood like a sturge does, and they heal off of
Right.
off of sucking blood out of you, and that's what they do. And they've got keen smell and sight because they literally have compound eyes and they're piranhas, so they can smell your blood generally. But they can only survive about 3 rounds out of water because someone forgot to give them like non-water lungs. Basically, a lot of this, I just combined the abilities of the Sturge with the Quipper and kind of called it a day.
Okay. Yeah, so I've seen plenty worse inspirations. Thing with that. Yeah,
Second up, we've got
but
something
something that is. Yeah.
called the Hand That Feeds, which is a basically a mutant
Ooh,
detached
magic.
hand with a little like mouth in the palm. So they're They are tiny aberrations because they're literally a hand. Obviously, they're evil because they're these like weird, just gremlin hands that just want to eat and eat and eat and eat and
I can't
eat.
think of any good aligned aberrations. A reason for that. Um, yeah.
They are very, very, very durable. They don't do a lot of damage, but they are very, very, very durable. So they've got resistance to cold and fire, immune to being frightened, charmed, and prone. They've got 60 feet of blind sight because they literally don't have eyes, so they just sort of see magically. I've given them a basically, the zombie trait, the 5e zombie trait. I've basically given them that on steroids. So they regenerate 1 hit
Oh, you
point every
remember they
six
reach zero and
seconds.
they don't die.
Yeah. They have
Pretty cool.
the whole Constitution save to not die, and also unless they are completely like disintegrated, they don't die when they're incapacitated. I can't remember
Hmm.
kind of like a revenant sort of thing. Unless you completely destroy the body, they will every minute make a Constitution save to get up. Every minute. So you
Right?
think, oh, so the idea is sort of kind of again horror movie thing of like, oh, we killed it finally, walks off.
Hmm.
The next movie it comes back kind of thing.
I can see it.
There's
They like little, they
bite.
kind of weak little things as well. So you can kill them briefly, all over and over and over again. It's
Yeah.
quite
Well, they
kind of
do
quick.
have 32 hit points, but they don't. The point is they don't deal a lot of
Alright.
damage. For a CR2 creature, they
They're
don't deal a
annoying.
lot of damage. However, another annoying thing they do is when they bite you, they can grapple you potentially. They will make a grapple check,
It is
and
annoying.
and because it's like a hand sort of on the body kind of thing, a target they have disadvantage to attack unless you are the grappled person. You have disadvantage to attack them if they're grappling someone, and if you miss when you're attacking it that way, you hit the grappled creature instead.
Okay.
So it's kind of again basically the whole concept of this one is just annoying asshole kind of thing. They only deal like 1d8 plus 2 slash piercing damage with their bite, but for a CR2, but they are designed to be extremely annoying.
Okay.
And
That
then,
sounds good. So,
yeah. And then the last one is kind of a variant of the Ghost. So this is the Rampaging Soul Rager. Uh, So they've got
Ooh.
some ghosty thingies. They're CR3. They resist a lot of different things. They resist basically everything that a ghost resists, and immune to cold, necrotic, and poison. They are vulnerable to lightning damage, though. Got a bunch of condition immunities. They can see into the ethereal
Right.
plane. Yeah, they can see into the ethereal plane. Uh, they
That's
can
pretty
move
cool.
through other creatures and objects as if they were difficult terrain, but they take psychic damage if it turns inside a object. Instead of taking force damage, they take psychic damage from fucking up, basically, instead of like a ghost. They can possess any object that has a screen using 10 feet of movement, such as a television, phone, or monitor. Obviously, this being Duskmorn, there's a lot of like CRT TVs
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff like that. While possessing, if the
Yeah, so
device
could
is
actually use that
yeah,
ability.
if the device is on, it's if the device is off, it is turned on, even if it lacks a power source or charge, because they're haunting the TV. Kind of like the Ring and stuff like that. When possessing an object, they take no damage because they become become an image basically. But you can destroy the object that it's in though. You can destroy the object that it's in.
I was gonna say you can take out the object there.
Yeah. It uses movement to possess an object though. So rather than using a bonus action, it actually just uses some movement as if it's like climbing into it. So it can sort of the idea is it comes in, does an attack, goes back in again to protect itself. So you have to just. But if you destroy the object, it takes 1d10 psychic damage and is forced out the object into a near occupied space. Creatures reduced to 0 hit points make a charisma saving throw. Creatures that fail this save become digitized and are transported to the nearest device to the screen. They do not die. Instead, they become trapped in that device as if by the imprisonment spell. Think Yugi's grandpa.
The Shadow Realm.
When he got when Yugi's grandpa got
Um,
sucked into the TV,
yeah,
the device is destroyed. The trapped creature is moved to another TV within a mile of it. If this is not possible, the creature instantly dies, becomes a ghost-like undead creature, the DM's choice. Because there's a few different weird digital TV ghost things in Duskmorn, so it could become any one of those or anything. If it's like a dog, for example, it wouldn't become a human-type ghost, for example. But it might become something else. The idea is that I think so if you look at the imprisonment spell, obviously you know there's a few different ways imprisonment can occur. So I would flavor it as, for example, the Hedge Maze and stuff like that as different TV shows that are on by the perspective of the person not trapped in the TV. So they either have to solve
okay,
the imprisonment or they, ninth level dispel magic as if by the imprisonment spell. Just to give it an
right.
interesting, because I can imagine this happening to a lower level party and they have to like pick up the TV with their friend in it and take it to like a court of wizards or something, like, help, my friend's trapped in a TV. Can you help me get them out,
Also,
please?
just relies on them knowing what a TV is.
Well, yeah, I suppose on Duskmorn they might know,
I
like
suppose,
a weird cleric or
yeah,
ghost hunter might know. But they can multi-attack, so they do two attacks of either two staticifying attacks or two withering strikes. So withering strike is just the same as the ghost, except I reduce the damage and I change the ability, added the effect of a creature hit by this attack cannot heal until the next round.
right.
And staticifying touch does a similar thing, except that they have to make a save if they get hit. Well, the creature has to make a save. DC 11. On a failed save, they become stunned. If the target's already stunned, they are paralyzed for 1d6 rounds instead. If they're already paralyzed, they become basically permanently paralyzed until cured instead. So it's kind of like, ramping up static electricity. So it's like kind of like rubbing a balloon. The more you do it, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
But yes. So they're one of few varieties of spirit found on Duskmorn. Be created when a being with a soul dies near a haunted TV, are killed by another spirit, or are brought to their end by the Lord of Pain, indirectly or indirectly. The Lord of Pain is one of the legendary creatures. He's like this weird assassin guy who can basically astral project through TVs and has like a weird mind control effect on people.
Right?
These tortured spirits were angry in the moments before their death. Their last echoes of life amplified in death to terrifying levels. They often lash out at anything that remotely irritates them and seek to cause suffering to others. You know, as ghosts are known to do, they have that imprint of how they died. But yeah, that's my three homebrews from all from the same place.
Okay. Right. What's that? There it is. So, this one I've gone for something I initially worked on a while back.
Mm-hmm.
For Byzantium because I wanted to expand or mess about with a new setting or country, I should say, because that's how I plan to do it all. It's
Do
just a
you have
different part of the
seven
world.
do you have 7 countries
Uh,
yet?
I think there's more than 7 countries, but we'll start one at a time. So I had this concept because I have a feeling this one could be a good seller for future Japan.
Oh.
The figure, right, what is marketable and generally considered cool a lot of the time?
Hmm.
Okay, samurai are cool, yep, and anything like that is it's going to sell fairly well.
Hmm.
So I decided, like, what would the Byzantium version of Japan look like? And I was inspired by like two major things. Was so a little bit of Mad Max,
Yeah.
with a little bit of like Dark Eldar inspiration in there. So I imagine that a lot of what would happen would be desertification might happen. So basically, Japan's a bit more deserty
Mm-hmm.
and wastelandy than it used to be. And rather than walk everywhere, uh, because it's cool, the samurai clans are still a thing,
Mm-hmm.
and they're back to warring with each other. But they do it rather than forces. If they can, they rely on like skiffs, sort of like the Dark Eldar raiders.
Oh yes.
There's weird things. I just had this really. It's mostly just a cool image I sort of ran with. Of like they prefer to fight from the back of like skiffs with machine gun turrets and harpoon launchers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's how the samurai clans prefer to fight each other now.
Mm.
Because that was just a really cool idea, and I could imagine that being a really good reveal trailer someday down the line. Um, so the first thing I worked on was actually just like the low ranking, the basic samurai. That's actually not like a foot soldier, an actual samurai. Actually went with an official title. So apparently Kenin, we're saying that wrong probably, but that's apparently like the entry level samurai that are technically in the social class, but they're not leading anybody just yet. Um,
Mm.
so you like to like design from the bottom when I think of like the hierarchy. So I think it just kind of helps me work up. So I have to copy paste something, then I can easily just do that and add stuff rather than work down.
Mm.
Um, so, some basic foot soldiery type stuff. It's that there's like this sort of like in the Warhammer kind of way of doing it. I did like the standard profile with the main weapon, which is Type 102 assault rifle, because I'm not sure if they still do that, but at least for a while, Japan had to think of uh, naming their weapons types followed by a number.
Uh-huh.
So it's done that. So to come across as somewhat authentic, and they have a tanto knife as well, sort of like a bayonet kind of thing. Think rifle bayonet uh, and samurai armor.
Mm.
Um, the main thing is, compared to like average soldiers in a lot of the setting, they're fairly well trained. They have the whole warrior culture going on, so
Mm.
they can snipe, and obviously stereotypes abound. They got the martial arts down as well. Um, So they're pretty good. They're still level 1, and in Byzantium it's the max level's 5. So these are like per strength kind of creatures. Um, they're slightly they're a little more charisma, and they're quite dexterous because they're pretty good shots. So that's the shooting stat. But they're not super soldiers. They're just like that. They are the standard samurai warrior. I'm kind of working up from there. The other thing they can swap their weapon with is something called a Type 63 gun spear, because a lot of uh, well, real samurai culture was based on there was always some element of traditionalism. So so keeping all the weapons in use, even though more practical ones exist. Um, the gun spear is literally what it sounds like. It's sort of like uh, got a big old haft with a carbine and bayonet mounted on the end of it.
Hmm.
So it doesn't have automatic. So the main the thing that you'd think about is, would do you want that samurai to have like a sort of a rifle with burst fire, or a longer range weapon that's also like a spear?
Yeah.
Um,
Trying to think.
my logic for that being a thing was, there are some very traditional samurai that think all these modern weapons are just not as good because they haven't been around, so clearly they can't be as good. Um, so that the stuff that the first block, in my head at least, for this setting, is this is going to be the average samurai. Um, so then it was going to then was the I think the plan from there is honestly going to be um, Shigaru. That's spoilers for next one, I guess. But basically, that's so in samurai culture, at least historically, you had the samurai class, which was not just cool dudes in armor.
Yeah.
Though some of that was true, but they were a social class.
Hmm.
Like samurai could do largely what they wanted within reason, because that was a social class as well as a entitlement to have armor and carry a sword. Peasants couldn't do that. But what happened as armies modernized was actually so civilian soldiers were called like ashigaru. So basically, they were the first uh, amongst the first soldiers to actually receive um, their variant of like the muskets.
Hmm.
So I like the idea of just incorporating some of that and like having the civilian soldiers be a social class all of their own. I do have the law written up for that, but not with the stat block because I've yet to come back to it. Um, basically, they are low. That they're the lowest ranking soldiers in I guess a neo samurai army. Um,
Hmm.
they get pretty much all the duties the samurai simply don't want to deal with.
Hmm.
And if there's any samurai around at all, they are higher ranking than any over any Ashigaru that's there. Um, they are weirdly enough, they have the most modern weapons compared to the samurai. They get like rifles, long knives, very little variety. But there's normally quite a lot of them, and they're rounded up like feudal style. Say, right, you're fighting for you're fighting for the shogun now. That's just what's going to happen. Um, there, I do have a concept for their own commanders, but the way it will work in the setting, at least, is if there's any samurai at all present in that army, they outrank them,
Makes sense.
regardless of competence. So I do want to implement this a rule. If a samurai character is killed within like viewing distance of an Ashigaru and there's no other samurai left, they might just run and want to live their own lives. Not necessarily out of fear, but because they have a chance to escape and sort of live their own way rather than beneath like the caste system that the samurai enforce. So I do want to sort of
Hmm.
have that as a mechanic. So if you kill all the samurai around them, the peasant soldiers might just
It's like, nah.
I suppose I don't really give it that much thought yet, but I suppose an early novel concept could be
Mm.
that a lot of the bandits that you do that the not quite Japan does actually have, all those problems are just largely Ashigaru that defected or ran away, or God forbid, had assassinated the samurai that was supposed to lead them,
Mm-hmm.
and decided, right, I now I'm the one with the biggest gun in the room, and now you listen to me. On a bit of a power trip.
Mm.
Of course, the shogun would be more than happy to pay, random strangers, even if they're, weird foreigners, loads of money just to deal with them because they don't like defectors.
Yeah.
It would be kind of like thematically, it's a problem that keeps repeating itself because the samurai treat the Ashigaru badly. Ashigaru start questioning what on earth, why they're even there, but they're sort of they're sort of held at a point where the samurai can just have them executed and have better equipment most of the time. So they can't really effectively fight back. So if a battle starts turning south, that's about their only exit, which leads to them becoming bandits, which leads to samurai sending adventurers or aspiring higher ranking samurai after them, and that creates the problem all over again. There's just a big cycle. It's like Britannia. If you ever like the old rules for peasants and knights,
Yeah.
where the peasants could not use the leadership of knights because the two social classes just despise one another.
Mm. I also I also learned something about sorry to sidetrack because I was watching I think it's Tasting History with Max Miller who was talking about like knights and how they oh
Yeah,
you know when you think of knights you think oh shining armor noble people and the reality is like no knights mostly were not good people they were very 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 violent.
Ri- they're rich. It's all like nepotism, really.
Hmm.
They're born into a noble household. Probably got a good education because their families could afford it. And if you weren't in like one of the first 2 to 3 in line to the noble house you're in, you're probably going to be shipped off to fight some battles somewhere,
Yeah.
and as a knight, earn some renown for the family, make the family look good, get rich, and probably have end up with a fort or castle somewhere,
And when you get bored, you know,
and
you
be a total dick
fight
to
the
peasants.
yeah, be addicted peasants, be a dick to the church for no reason, do a bit of pillaging. Yeah. Or when in
Unless it's a
the early
crusade, then
yeah,
you
unless it's the
do
crusade.
face fealty.
Well, I love the whole thing of like yes, you know, the crusades weren't really a religious thing. I mean, they kind of were a little bit, but it's mostly yeah. What we got to give these knights someone something to do to fight someone who isn't
Yeah,
us.
that's a yeah. I do think that's a part of it that sort of gets a bit lost. Although it's funny because the first Crusades, I say the first two, were a, actually a reclamation effort because that time
Mm,
period Islam was expanding very very dramatically. A lot of the former Christian states there were effectively getting conquered within weeks and months.
mm,
That was the first was Crusade at least open response to say, "Oh, hold up, can't be having this." But again, as the Crusades became a standardized thing, you had a lot of knights jumping on,
yeah.
like common born people, jumping onto Crusades because some priest would say, "Oh, we'll absolve your sins, or we'll be fine." Um, they'd some have to make their way hundreds of miles across Europe to countries they've definitely never been to. But they'd end up trashing the place and drinking too much and being a nuisance to the point where I think the Byzantines, bizarrely enough, would actually bribe them to
Mm,
just move on to the next place because it was just so pricey to have crusaders move through your country. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, it became like a thing for I want to look good in the eyes of Christendom and have my sins absolved, and maybe if you're knightly, take some relic from the Middle East. So it did become that by the end.
Mm. After a while.
Yeah, the first one was a legitimate retaliation, but that sort of any sense of nobility quickly wears off by about the third, fourth crusade.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, getting a bit off top, getting a bit off the beaten
Yeah,
path.
I can do that all day.
So, where were we? Something about samurai and knights.
Yes. Well, that was that different. Now that was my entry this week. I'm planning to expand that into the first draft of a new setting book for Byzantia because I
Mm,
as much as I like the history of it all, the image of future samurai on skiffs with machine guns is just kind of cool in a Mad Max way, and I
mm,
think I could make money off that image. I think that will work, and it won't take too much brain power to think about because I just think of if I get the question, "Oh, why'd you do it?" It was cool. It was
yeah.
just cool. I mean, I can just imagine the conversions somebody might do. That you could take like the old Dark Eldar Raiders and some like bizarre conversion with like those giant square shoulder pads, and it could be quite. Yeah, I just think it's just a cool like Samurai Jack, Mad Max kind of thing. That's like
Mm.
this is cool. Write it down. Yeah.
Fair enough. Awesome source.
Well,
Consult the Book of Armaments.
I don't. The thing with Byzantia is I was kind of took my cue from Cyberpunk.
Mm.
Not the new one, I guess the new one, but the older books in particular,
Ah.
where if you want to look up a weapon, you could look up the damage and range and stuff. Then you get a blurb
Mhm.
on when the weapon was did it sell?
Yeah.
Any fault? I went a little like so I could theoretically have a book of armaments.
That'd actually be kind of cool. Maybe that'd be one of your things. Where can people find Byzantia books if you are doing them?
That's the thing. I am admittedly playing it a little close to my chest
That's fair. That's fair.
until I get to get that down. Because it is rather my baby. I will have. I'm happy to put some of it down, but the core book is sealed away in an imaginary vault right now
Ah.
until it's ready to see the world. Um, I am, however, I will spoil this. I am considering doing and going to work on um, a free adventure from level 1 to 2, so people can effectively play the game and
Hmm.
get a taste of it. But it's designed to be just that, a taste.
Hmm.
Um, been advised that a little bit of free stuff goes a very long way. So there
Yes.
will be some free content. I am happy to actually put out professionally,
Hmm.
but I don't want to make that a practice. As much as I love my art, and I love
Hmm.
my art, I want to I want to make my money off it so I
Oh,
can
I
live
get that.
too.
I was more inferring like if and when you do put some of this stuff up for sale, is it like RPG? Is it RPG Guild? What's the site? Maybe.
Um, I know the one you're on about. That would be that's the first port of call.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let me double check that because I want RPG Guild.
See like RPG Makers Guild, something along
That's
those
D&D
lines.
minis. That's no, that's a separate one. Drive through RPG. There's the one.
Ah, right. Yep.
Yeah, so that's the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, Drive through RPG.
Hmm.
Um, that's definitely we're gonna do with digital downloads, but I do want a physical version available because I like having books.
Yeah. Tactile, just flicky
And
pages.
books are cool, and
Mm.
just as an ego thing, I think if I owned a copy of my own book, I could then say I have now made it. It is
Yeah.
not just a word document on my screen anymore.
Hmm.
Um, and I kind of want to see lovely, lovely art made of all the bizarre things I wrote about so many years ago.
Mm.
Um, because you write something with a image in mind, but sometimes you forget some of them. I want to see like a proper, nicely done image done by some very lovely artists who
Mm.
are happy to accept money, which will be most of them. But you know what I mean.
Yes.
Some of the monsters have a really they had I had a very strict design for some of them in mind.
Mm.
Um, thankfully, I like writing briefs. So,
Good.
what have I got next?
That's probably going to be it for the day because we've been going for over an hour and 15 minutes.
We done a bit. We don't know. We got long. Okay,
So,
that's fine.
yeah, thank you guys so much
Um,
for tuning in. You've all been wonderful. Thank you, Eld Hall.
thank you for listening
We
to
know
us.
who we are. We know who that is. Thank you for tuning in. That was really good. They were talking about the false Hydra earlier. That was yeah.
Cool. Um, there's one thing I would like to leave the show on for, because there's one thing I think I found it a while ago. And every time I rewatch it, it's still funny.
Mm-hmm.
There's a video called the Mesothelioma Can,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it might be more an American thing. So basically, there's an advert for a number you can call if you've been affected by a rare form of cancer. That's not the funny one. That's like a serious infomercial style advert. There's a channel called There I Ruined It that effectively takes really bizarre concepts, just rolls with it. So we turned the script of that advert into the tune of the can, and it really works.
Oh dear.
I'm gonna drop it in
Uh-huh.
the chat because it is worth listening to. Oh, that's there he is. That's Black Panther. Okay,
Yeah, I wasn't like that enthused by him, to be honest. He's fine. He's just
he's
not.
it feels standard.
Mm.
Feels pretty standard. What? Wait, he's a 2-2.
Yeah, he's
Ooh,
not. He's only small.
oh, that is very mid. Uh, that's not it. Got to copy it. Yeah. That's it. Any other closing points? Because I think I'm done. Um, yeah.
Uh, that's it. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. You are wonderful peoples. Remember to keep an eye on Drive Through RPG in case Byzantium ever comes out ever. I mean, it will at some point. I mean, when it comes out, and
Oh
we
yes.
shall raid out to someone, I guess. Let's throw ourselves at Eldritch Pod Blast again. So the raid message will be below. And thank you guys for tuning in again. Thank you. Yes. Sorry, it was a little awkward, but hey.
Yes. Right. See you next week. Any luck? And have a good one.
Have a good one. Yes.
Right. See you next week. Any luck? And have a good one.
Have a good one.